each shimmering jewel made so wondrously.
Why wouldn't we care?
One Caribbean sea. We all belong here. One Caribbean sea. Loving and living and raising our children to cherish the land so far birth.
Why wouldn't we care?
One Caribbean sea.
We all belong here.
One Caribbean sea.
And we will endure if we can just secure our treasures of blue sky and sun.
Hey family, this is Sheldon John. If it's on land, it will end up in the ocean. And for every fish that chokes on our waste, someone's livelihood dies too. Some say, please stop marine pollution.
So many islands, familiar connections, sharing resources, one economy. More than just islands, a civilization of history and culture and shared destiny.
Why wouldn't we care? One Caribbean sea. We all belong here. One economy.
Making future sense of our present tense. We're giving it all we are. Our moment is here.
One Caribbean sea.
Values we all hold dear.
One economy.
Love and glory, the joys of our journey will surely inspire the earth.
Yo, this is Skinny Fabulous. Check this for a second. When your plastics, engine oil, factory waste, and fertilizer runoff end up in the sea, that's a real bad vibe. Trust me, gotta cut it out. We all have to stop that. And that's the memo right there.
Why wouldn't we care?
One Caribbean sea.
Can prosper right here.
Caribbean
By giving it all we are worth.
by cherishing the lands of our birth. Why wouldn't we care
One Caribbean sea.
for the oceans we share?
One economy.
Painting this picture and framing our future, we're giving it all we are.
Hey OECS, this is Mikhail Henderson. This song is real, just like our ocean. Think ahead. Act now. Stop littering the land and protect our sea. Your garbage, your house, your garage, your factory, your move. It's that simple.
We're keepers of ocean and earth.
One Caribbean sea.
We're giving it all we are worth.
One economy.
We cherish the lands of our birth.
One Caribbean sea.
Our treasures of blue sky and sun.
One economy. One Caribbean sea. One economy. One Caribbean sea.
Our treasures of blue sky and sun.
One Caribbean sea.
All right, I hope that everybody enjoyed this song and can definitely take a message from it. While it's not trade related, I think we can all appreciate the message that it is trying to portray. Director General of the OECS, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, Dr. Dedicus Jules. Program Manager, Delegation of the European Union to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, CARICOM and CARIFORUM, Sheldon Jackman. Director of the Economic Affairs and Regional Integration Division at the OECS Commission, this is Jacqueline Emmanuel Flood. Program Manager of the ACP TradeCom 2 program at the OECS Commission, Kyle Gans. UKTP Program Officer from International Trade Center, Martin Lopez. Head of the Competitive Business Unit at the OECS Commission, Karim Gist. Market Research Officer at Export St. Lucia, Kelvin Jean-Baptiste. Staff of the OECS Commission, invited guests, good morning. After months of extensive consultations, the OECS Commission has reached a milestone with the formation of an information platform which supports evidence-based trade-related policy and improved decision-making. The International Trade Commission, or the ITC, through its relationship with the United Kingdom Trade Partnerships UKTP program, has finalized the configuration of a set of analytical tools for trade, which has been embedded on the Commission's website. These tools have been delivered and have been launched today at the Trade Map and the Market Access Map. The rationale for this stems from the demand for data and statistically sound evidence to inform decision-making. The Caribbean has long been identified as a statistically deficient region, and these limitations have impacted our image internationally, as well as our ability to participate in negotiations. My name is Nias Alfred, Communications Officer at the OECS Commission, and I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. In this morning's launch, we will be providing an in-depth demonstration of the tools mentioned, while providing some much-needed context and engaging you in discussion. So let's get started. To provide the opening remarks and introductions, I invite the Director of Economic Affairs and Regional Integration at the OECS Commission, Mrs. Jacqueline Emmanuel Flood.
Hello, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon to you, depending on which part of the world that you are connecting from, as we join together to celebrate a key deliverable of the project that we have aptly entitled Consolidating the Economic Union through Sustainable Trade Capacity Building. My job today is a very brief and pleasant one, so permit me to do it in a very special way. The development and funding and the execution of this project is interwoven by intricate levels of collaboration between the OECS Commission, our member states, and several multilateral institutions, which our host has already mentioned some of your names. And I would like to issue a very special welcome to the Director General of the OECS Commission himself, who has been involved in this project from its inception, and whom I am sure is very pleased to be doing the honors today of officially launching these trade analytical tools. I also wish to extend a very grateful welcome to the representatives of the OACPS and the EU, who have provided the funding support through the ACP EU TradeCom 2 program. The OACPS and the EU are most valued partners to the OECS. The development of these trade analytical tools is very significant. In fact, they are tangible evidence of the pursuance of our shared goals of expanding trade between the ACP and the EU and our OECS member states. The journey to today's event has been a long and challenging one, given the fact that this project had a very short implementation period from the start. And also, of course, the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was during these challenging circumstances that the International Trade Center, the ITC, came alongside this project to offer their support and expertise. And this is very critical for where we are today, because it has allowed us to accomplish this very specific milestone that we are here to celebrate. I'm therefore very pleased to warmly welcome the ITC representatives, Mr. Lopez, who's here today. I would much rather call the ITC our colleagues and friends, given their extensive and generous support to this project and to the OECS Commission. I have already mentioned the intricate levels of collaboration that was necessary to bring this project, and specifically this aspect, the trade analytical tools, to completion, especially in these pandemic times. It is my expectation that those of us who are participating in this launching this morning are a microcosm of the vast efforts at both national, regional, and international level, as we have worked purposefully towards achieving this milestone. I wish to welcome the national government representatives, the national statistical officers, the researchers, consultants who have assisted us in filling data gaps, the business support organizations, and the individual firms who have tested these tools and provided valuable feedback throughout the various stages of the process. Last but not least, I want to welcome the project implementation team, who, as I have said, have worked tirelessly to accomplish these goals through many unforeseen circumstances. Based on our program, I know that subsequent speakers this morning will go into deeper depth to demonstrate the importance of these trade analytical tools and the potential value that they are expected to bring to our exporters and business entrepreneurs in general. I am confident that I have extended a warm welcome to all participants in their various important roles. So if by singling out, I have not already welcomed everyone, let me issue a resounding collective welcome to all participants. Your presence is essential for spreading the word about those tools and for ensuring that they are used, maintained, and that the benefits are realized in the future. Thank you for being part of this event, and I look forward to a very engaging session this morning. Again, I say welcome to all.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Emmanuel Flood. And definitely from your presentation, I took, it is definitely very heartening to see that despite all of the challenges that we faced with COVID-19, that we were able to rally our partners and like you call them, our colleagues, for the implementation of these tools. We recently launched a campaign for the OECS called Stronger Together, and that was in support of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the aftermath of the volcanic eruption. And I think that that theme, Stronger Together, is definitely very apt as you speak about the rallying of support to make this thing happen. So right now, I'd like to call on the Director General of the OECS, Dr. Dedicus Jules, to provide some remarks and to officially launch the trade tools. Dr. Jules?
Thank you very much, Niles. This is Sheldon Jackman, Program Manager of the Delegation of the EU to Barbados, the OECS, Eastern Caribbean States CARICOM and CARIFORUM. This is Jacqueline Emmanuel Flood, Director of Economic Affairs and Regional Integration. Mr. Kyle Gans, Project Manager at the ACP TradeCom 2 program. Mr. Martin Lopez, UKTP Program Officer from the International Trade Center. Distinguished colleagues of the European Union and the OACPS, Mr. Karim Gis, Head of Competitive Business Unit, Mr. Kevin Jabatis, Market Research Officer at Exports and Lucia, staff of the Commission, invited guests, good morning. The launch of the OECS trade analytical tools today marks a very significant step forward for the OECS and for our capacity for effective trade facilitation and strategizing. For the past 8 years, we have been seeking to have such a data architecture that can provide the tools for understanding the patterns of our trade, for appreciating the value transfers that they represent, and for strategically projecting our trade ambitions. This was a matter I recall passionately raised by former Commissioner of Grenada, Dr. Patrick Antoine, who was instrumental in its inclusion in the TradeCom 2 project document. Intelligent decision-making entails knowing what tools to use for a particular problem in order to attain a desired outcome. And in an era where the role of digitization within the global economy has been rapidly increasing, data collection and analysis has become vitally important. Therefore, the need for data to analyze, strategize, and plan has become critical in forming strategic decisions towards the development of our region. It was Clive Humley who said that the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, it is data. It is therefore a core responsibility that we ensure the production, distribution, and utilization of data in all our developmental efforts. The unfortunate reality, however, is that we are far from where we should be on the generation and the utilization of data in and about the OECS region. According to a joint report by Chase and Mathurin, it was said that the OECS region has been pigeonholed by international organizations, development donor partners, investors and the like as a region deficient in the production, compilation, and application of relevant, timely, and reliable statistics. Given the structural impediments and volatility to external shocks which the MSMEs of our small island developing states face, such as climate-induced events, natural disasters, environmental degradation, and the more recent COVID-19 pandemic, data for planning is of paramount importance. And trade data that enables MSMEs in particular to have visibility of the volumes, values, and patterns of trade for small island developing states like ours is an indispensable requirement for identification of market opportunities, for scaling up production, and for securing lucrative global niches. We are enthused that the International Trade Center, through its relationship with the UK Trade Partnerships Program, has finalized the configuration of a set of trade analytical tools which have been now embedded on the Commission's website and therefore available to all. Today, we officially launched the two tools. These analytical tools are essential elements of trade policy making and trade facilitation, and will be of great value for cross-border commercial transactions in the OECS single space. We expect that these tools will serve as game changers within our region, as they will allow users to access trade statistics and track compliance at the multilateral level, leading to greater transparency. Like Director Flood, I wish to thank the ACP TradeCom2 team, the International Trade Center, and the United Kingdom Trade Partnerships for delivering on this initiative. I encourage everyone to take advantage of these tools and utilize them to gain the competitive advantage needed to build prosperity as we strive to reinvent our post-pandemic economy. I therefore wish to declare the launch of the trade analytical tools officially open and to hope for a successful event. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Jules. And definitely what stuck with me was the intentional use of statistics in trade, because like I would have mentioned a bit earlier, our region is definitely seen as being statistically deficient. And that is true not only in trade, but when you look at other areas such as education, health, social protection, there is definitely that gap as it relates to the use of statistics. So it's very happy to see these tools actually intentionally making use of that. So at this point, I would like to invite to deliver some remarks the program manager for the delegation of European Union to Barbados, Mr. Sheldon Jackman, to deliver some remarks. Mr. Jackman.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, and all protocols observed. Firstly, I would like to thank you for this opportunity given to the EU delegation to give opening remarks at this very important event, this very important launch. We also wish to congratulate the OECS, the OACPS, the International Trade Center, UK Aid, and all other partners involved in making this project a reality. It is expected that following this initiative, both public and private sector entities in the OECS will be able to improve their competitiveness in the global marketplace through enhanced access to accurate, timely, and relevant data, as well as statistically sound evidence to inform decision-making. The EU believes that initiatives like these that focuses on enhancing trade capacity, along with the existing cadre of support funded under the current 11th EDF, such as support to the implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement, the strengthening of regional integration in the OECS and CSME, will continue to provide the much needed support to member states as we continue to navigate the economic conditions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Just to note that under the 11th EDF, EPA program, the EU has committed 19 million euros in support of the EPA implementation that will see CARIFORUM member states continue to improve their trade capacity by focusing on the key areas of innovation and intellectual property, technical barriers to trade, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, as well as capacity building in various areas such as competition, public procurement, customs, and trade facilitation. In addition, significant support has also been provided to the private sector through the Regional Private Sector Development Program being implemented by the Caribbean Export Development Agency. The 11th EDF Private Sector Development Program focuses on supporting market penetration, supply chain and intelligence frameworks, increased access to finance, promotion on green energy and energy efficiency, business-to-business forums, and more targeted diagnostic tools to enhance firm capacity. We are aware that significant work has been also undertaken by Caribbean Export in developing some market intelligence systems. So we are heartened to believe that with some collaboration with Caribbean Export, some synergies can be found between this excellent system that is being launched this morning and what already exists. So in these brief remarks, in closing, I would like to once again congratulate all parties involved in the launch of these platforms this morning, and I can look forward to the continued development of the system. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jackman. And of course, thank you very much to the European Union for all their support in bringing these tools and this initiative together. Okay, so now for what I consider to be the fun part, which is the demonstration of these tools. And for this, I would like to welcome Mr. Martin Lopez, who is the UKTP Program Officer from the International Trade Center. Take it away, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you very much, Nius. Thank you to the DG and to the team and to all the representatives of the organizations that are joining us this morning. Good morning, everyone in the Caribbean, and good afternoon for those in Europe. It is my pleasure to send you our warmest greetings from the ITC in Switzerland. Me too, I would like to say that we are delighted to share this good news today, to present this new asset for the Caribbean business community, which is for me a fruit of technology, innovation, and collaboration. And I'm referring, of course, to these two market analysis and business intelligence tools that have been already mentioned, Market Access Map and Trade Map, which are now customized and integrated into the website of the OECS. The first tool, Trade Map, is a market analysis tool created and maintained by the International Trade Center with inputs from a number of selected and trusted data providers from international, public, and private organizations around the world. Trade Map can provide in the form of tables, graphs, maps, indicators on, for example, export performance, international demand, alternative markets, competitive markets, and even, this is very important, contact details of potential business partners in those target markets that companies may have. Trade Map covers around 220 countries and territories and over 5,300 products, or meaning codes of the harmonized system of designation and codification of merchandises. In a way, we could say that Trade Map is an incredibly user-friendly report maker, able to answer questions as, for example, which countries are buying my product, from where they are buying it, how much, how frequently, which companies exactly are buying my product, how has that trade been behaving over the last years or even months if I would like to check seasonality of a trade. We could also check the market trends if a trade is increasing or decreasing, and much more. For its importance, for its capabilities, we could say for its powers to democratize access to essential and strategic information, this tool is considered in the eyes of the United Nations a public good, something that everyone should be able to access and to seize in order to enhance trade intelligence, to do more business, to create employment, opportunities, and so on. Well, that was the first tool. The second tool, Market Access Map, that as an acronym we say in short, MACMAP. MACMAP is the world's largest repository of information on market access requirements, as for example, tariffs and regulatory requirements, including information on trade agreements, tariff preferences, rules of origin, trade remedies, and much more that you can query by target market and by product. These two tools together, TradeMap and MACMAP, together complete very effectively the circle of international desk-based market research for companies and institutions to spot trade opportunities and to better understand the conditions for accessing those markets. So I'd like to share now my screen, and I will walk you through these tools. Just to give me a second, please. And here we go. Well, we start with the TradeMap, as I said, now embedded into the OECS website, and you will find it here. You can take note. The address is oecs.org/n/TradeMap. But this is so well structured and developed by OECS that you can just even Google it, like I'm doing right now, OECS TradeMap, and the first suggestion of Google will be OECS TradeMap. So we land in this page, and what can we do with this? Well, let me show you this simple dashboard. This gives us an X-ray of the exports of OECS, of the OECS region. We could analyze exports by region and by single supplying countries. Let's, for example, have a look at, well, here I see St. Lucia. I saw somebody from St. Lucia. So this shows us a tree map that describes what is the export basket of St. Lucia as of last year. And well, the larger the shape, the more important the product seems to be in St. Lucian exports. And you can probably recognize some classic export products of St. Lucia. We go a bit downwards and we see some other indicators, like for example, main destinations of St. Lucia's exports, together with some indications of the growth of that trade over the last 5 years. Like for example, here we see that we have increased exports from St. Lucia to Barbados by 1% over the last 5 years, but they decreased by 18% during that same period. And everything is clickable here. For example, if I like to dig in a bit and drill down in the exports of beverages, well, you will see this pop-up window with some main details, but you can click here in beverages, spirits, and vinegar, that chapter 22 of the nomenclature, and this will generate a report of St. Lucian exports of products of chapter 22, beverages, spirits, and vinegar, with some interesting indicators, like for example, value exported in 2020. Well, soon this will be updated up to 2021. Indicators like trade balance, annual growth in value, annual growth in quantity, and you can even select more indicators, like for example, a quantity share of St. Lucia in world trade for that product, unit value to have a proxy of the export price. This is never the price, but it gives a very good clue of what the price, the export price would be, we have indicators on market concentration, ease of doing business, coming from the World Bank ranking. So you can easily customize this chart and have different visualizations. And you can even go a bit deeper. Like, for example, I'm going to choose this visualization at the 6-digit level to see which beverages exactly St. Lucia is exporting. There you start seeing, for example, beer, rum, waters, liquors and cordials, again with the same details: value exported, trade balance, annual growth, and with the same possibility of choosing among a number of extra trade indicators. And now, if you would like to see where St. Lucia is exporting this rum, for example, what you can do is click here in the code of rum, and this will show you the export destinations of that St. Lucian rum. This is displayed in the form of a ranking, starting with the largest importers and so on. Again, with those same indicators for checking market dynamism, concentration, competition, market shares in each market, and everything that could help you better understand those markets. You can visualize this in graphs, like in bubble graphs, to do some type of competitive or dynamic analysis among different markets. You could visualize this in form of maps, as we had already mentioned, and so on. Well, so these are some markets of St. Lucia. Now, you can also check how these markets are behaving. Like, for example, the French market is growing constantly, both in quantity and in terms of value. There are others that are not behaving so well, like the UK, minus 17% over the last 5 years, losing probably market shares. Well, this is how we could interpret at first sight this chart. Now, if I'd like to drill down even more in the French market, because I like to check, for example, competitors in the French market, what I can do is click here in France, and this will take me to the generic version of TradeMap tool to have even more indicators. Now I'm seeing the suppliers of beverages, this type of alcoholic beverages, to France, starting with Italy, then comes Barbados, then comes Venezuela. And again, you can run graphs, maps, and everything is clickable, everything is rankable. You can select, customize your indicators. Possibilities are endless in order to carry out a very flexible and a powerful trade analysis. One more thing. What if I am really interested in the French market and I would like to meet some possible buyers for rum? What I can do is click here in this tab, you see in companies, you click in companies, and this will take you to a directory of French companies that have been recorded or registered by our data provider, Compass, and companies registered as importing or trading alcoholic beverages classified in these categories. For example, I see this category, alcoholic spirits. I click there and I will see a list of companies that are trading those products. What you can do is to click in any of them and you will have a mini company profile with some essential contact details and even the name of an executive who seems to be the CEO. And that is how you can use TradeMap. I know I've done many clicks, but I really wanted to cover some interesting features of this tool. Now, let's talk about the second tool of the day, Market Access Map. Again, you can find it on the OECS website, but you can also, if you don't remember the address by heart, just type OECS Market Access Map, and Google will be very straightforward to guide you to the right place. And there we are in Market Access Map OECS. I repeat, this tool is a repository of information on market access conditions like tariffs, meaning customs duties, and the regulatory requirements to comply in order to access a given target market. Let's run an example with, for example, Dominica. And let's say we want to export to the UK. You see all the countries that are there in our list. You can pick a product, say, for example, bananas. You just type the name of the product and the system will suggest the appropriate HS code. Click there, click on search, and we will be seeing the established access requirements for the UK market of bananas. And we start with tariffs. You see there are 2 tariffs, but you need only to pay just one tariff. There is the MFN duty, which is the tariff that every country should pay in the absence of a trade agreement. But in this case, Dominica, as part of CARI Forum, there is a trade agreement that entitles us to go duty-free to the UK market. If I'd like to learn some more about that trade agreement, I can click here and I will see some details about the IPA UK CARI Forum agreement with a link to the certificate of origin that could be needed to present at customs to certify that that product is really coming from Dominica. The full text of the agreement. So I click here and I will have the whole text of the IPA in PDF version. That is what I said, that this is a real repository of information on market access. Let's do one more example. Still with Dominica, let's say, for example, United States of America, and another export product that could come from Dominica could be avocado. You choose, you look for the product, the system will suggest a number of codes, you pick the one that you think is suitable, and you have the same array of information. Information on customs tariffs to be paid in the USA. Let's give the system some seconds to bring that information. And you will see, I repeat, only one of those tariffs must be paid. Hopefully there is a trade agreement, of course, with the Caribbean. Well, there is the duty that everyone should pay in the absence of a trade agreement. But since Dominica is part of the Caribbean basin, there is this trade preference that allows avocado from Dominica to be exported to the USA without tariffs, without having to pay tariffs at the US border. Again, details on that trade agreement and information on regulatory requirements, like, for example, labeling, packaging, storing and transport conditions, testing requirements. You can expand this section, check one by one the packaging requirements. You will always find a link or a document to a relevant document explaining a bit more about that specific regulation. Click there and the system will take you to an online source of information to pursue your research. So that is how these tools work. At the top of the tool itself, there is a tutorial with some interesting theory that is based on the generic versions of the tools. The good thing is that we have customized the tools for getting a better approach to the interests of the OECS with a customized list of the countries in the region. And of course, when we go to trade map, let me go back there, we see right up front exports of the region and the possibility to run filters for each of the member countries of the Eastern Caribbean community. Well, this is what I wanted to share with you. Of course, there is much more. And if you run a search on YouTube for the tutorials of these tools, you will find plenty of possibilities to learn a bit more and even get to know other tools that come by the hand of ITC and now in collaboration with the OECS. I want to thank you very much for your attention, and I am very glad that we are presenting this to the Caribbean business community this morning. Thank you very much, and over to you, Nayus.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lopez, and definitely a lot to unpack. And I want you to stay with us for a bit because we're going to have a question and answer segment. So I encourage the participants, if you have any questions, I can give you the go-ahead to put on your mic to ask your questions by raising your hand, or you could place your questions in the chat for Mr. Lopez for a little later on. But Mr. Lopez, from what I understand, the trade map and the market access tools were developed, of course, for entrepreneurs, researchers, trade practitioners, policymakers across the OECS. So it would be very interesting to hear the assessment of some of our experts and our professionals who would be making use of these tools. So at this point, I would like to invite Mr. Kelvin Jean-Baptiste, who is the research officer at Export St. Lucia, to give his assessment of the tools. Mr. Jean-Baptiste.
Thank you, Mr. Alfred, and thanks to Mrs. Flood and Dr. Dickers-Jules. I would like to start off by saying, I think congratulations are in order to the Commission on the implementation and incorporation of the tools for use within the OECS. Being familiar with the tools, I can say from an informed standpoint that there is great utility to be recognized from their use. The tools presented here definitely bring us one step closer to being more competitive and better informed as it pertains to the global trade systems, global trade flows, market entry requirements, and tariff and non-tariff measures, among others. Increasingly, within business organizations, government organizations, decisions, whether from whatever perspective, need to be made from an informed position. One of the columns of factual decision making is having sound data that can easily be analyzed to tell a story. The tools showcase here today provide an opportunity to do the necessary research or make a decision and be confident that it is done based on sound data and facts. From a research background, the tools afford users the opportunity to gain valuable insight into the trade environment in which they operate in, or for businesses, the environment in which they compete in a user-friendly manner. Whether it be who your main competitors are in a particular market, your insight into your price point, your regulatory environment, or something as simple as the distance to a market compared to a competitor, it provides valuable information that will help in determining a market entry strategy or to identify possible opportunities that may be exploited. While these tools form part of a secondary market research or information strategy, it will not replace the need for primary market research. However, it will definitely supplement primary market research, or at the very least, inform your decisions and views about a potential market, or enable a user to better understand what is happening within the trade environment. Having used the tools extensively, I think that overall it's an opportunity to level the playing field in terms of trade data, and business decision making, and a wonderful initiative implemented by the Commission. So once again, I congratulate the Commission and say thanks for taking on this challenge in bringing it to the region. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jean-Baptiste. And following up from your presentation, I definitely think that it is important for us to use our platforms to amplify the assessments of users such as yourself, to create some sort of appetite for the use of these tools. Because like I mentioned earlier, these were very in-depth, and the advantages for those that it is intended for is definitely very clear to see. So hopefully we can use our platforms to amplify the sentiments such as what you just presented. So at this point, I'd like to invite my colleague from the OECS Commission, Mr. Karim Gist, who is the head of the competitive business unit, to give his assessment on the tools. Mr. Gist.
Thank you, Nias. Let me just give greetings to Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the OECS, to Sheldon Jackman, Program Manager, Delegation of the European Union, to Barbados, Eastern Caribbean OECS CARICOM, CARI Forum, to our Director, Jacqueline Flawed, of Economic Affairs and Regional Integration at the OECS Commission, to my colleague Kyle Gans, Project Manager of the ACP TradeCom 2 program at the OECS Commission, to Martin Lopez, our colleague and partner at the UKTP Program Office, International Trade Center, to Kelvin Jean-Baptiste, Market Research Officer at the Export St. Lucia, to all our colleagues and staff at the OECS Commission and invited guests. What I would say is that the private sector continues to play a major role in delivering more robust economic outcomes and sustainable livelihoods in the OECS region. Therefore, it's supporting the development of the business in the Eastern Caribbean is one of the key priorities of the OECS Commission, and specifically through our competitive business unit. So the OECS, through the CBU, continues to work in collaboration with its member states, along with regional and international agencies to support existing and emerging businesses and that ecosystem strengthening in the Eastern Caribbean. Our mandate continues to increase the opportunity for trade and export development of our MSMEs. As we are aware, small-sized businesses face multiple challenges, including a high level of informality surrounding their structure, operations, and access to information. The sector has traditionally been disadvantaged with the lack of technologically and financial resources, now further exacerbated by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, creativity and deliberate reinvented strategies are needed in order for these MSMEs to weather these challenges. Against this background, it is worthwhile to note two key objectives of the competitive business unit, which are: one, to provide assistance in implementing domestic and international marketing campaigns through supporting structures such as member states' business support organizations, and two, to provide quality business intelligence to our MSMEs as they advance and navigate through these turbulent times. This tool therefore brings a wealth of value of information with regards to regulations, market entry requirements, market commodities, trade indicators, both import, export commodity trends, and destination points, which are important for market mapping by our MSMEs, looking for import and export data to drive their business opportunities. Among other key data points that will enhance the access to information and the activities of doing business within the OECS region. I therefore take this opportunity to thank the ITC and the OECS for its generous technical and financial support towards enabling our business ecosystem through innovation and technology enhancement. This platform will definitely allow our MSMEs, our support organizations, our member states, and our overall governance structure to use data to drive aggressively the strategy required for the growth and development of export and trade within our region. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gist. And I certainly know that the CBU will be critical in terms of getting it out there and encouraging maximum participation from our stakeholders in business and in trade. So before we move on to the question and answer segment by Mr. Lopez, I want to give a heads up that towards the end of this launch, I will be asking everyone to turn on their cameras to ensure that we take a group photo. So if you're not camera ready at the moment, please, I'm giving you about 10 minutes to get camera ready while Mr. Lopez goes through some of the questions. All right, so Mr. Lopez, we have a couple questions as well, but I'll give you opportunity to some of the participants. Please, if you have any questions, raise your hand, or you could use the chat to type in as well. All right, I see Ernie James from Grenada. Maybe put on your mic and ask your question.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Lopez, for that presentation. I love the presentation and I love the tool because I see it contains a lot of information that will be very useful for us, both as trade official and also from the business standpoint. My question is that with this tool, how often the information will be updated and who is responsible for updating this tool. Secondly, I know we focus a lot on goods. Will there be any consideration in the future to add a services component? Because as a region, we heavily rely on services, so trading services. And I know services data is very hard to capture. So I'm not sure if there's any consideration for that in the future. And lastly, is there an area if we having problem navigating the site to get quick response, like a feedback section where we can type in something if we need assistance? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ernie, for this very relevant question. This gives me the opportunity to give you some good news. All the updating of the information behind the tools is carried out by the United Nations and the agencies that are in charge of maintenance of all this data. I'm talking about the International Trade Center, the WTO, and the UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. We have some armies of people in charge of getting this information up to date, even every day. Because there is this work of maintaining the network that we have in terms of links with other databases in which we rely, so that the information that you will always see will be as updated and as reliable as possible. So as long as the United Nations and ITC exist, the data that you will see through MacMap and TradeMap OECS will also be always updated. There is no need of human or technical effort behind in order to keep the data that is published updated. That will be always updated. And concerning the services, well, actually TradeMap and TradeMap OECS also provides information on trade in services. We rely on the data that is reported by single countries through their central banks, and we take into account information that data that comes from the balance of payments. There is a nomenclature that classifies trade in services, and that is the material that we have in order to publish some statistics. So you can already run some queries of trade on services with, of course, the limitations that we all know. It is hard to track specifically the trade in services. You can not get very specific on what type of service some big accounts are about. Like, for example, travel services. That could be many types of travel services, but there is a big bag in which travel services have been reported in the balance of payments, and that is what we can show. Well, all this to say that, yes, we provide through the tools information on services, but to the extent that the reporting countries allow us to do this responsibly. And if you face any issue in operating the tool, well, there is always the possibility to check the tutorials in YouTube. These are very methodological in terms of telling you step 1, step 2, step 3, and to guide you through the process. And at the bottom of the generic page of the tools, there is also a contact us link where you could report any issue or any malfunctioning. In fact, we will be very grateful because this helps us publish information in better ways, so that the data is easy to be consulted and that the interface allows to run smooth and effective searches. I hope this answers to your questions, Ernie.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. James. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. And Mr. James would have covered 2 of the questions I had, Mr. Lopez, and that was on the frequency of the updates on the tools, as well as a platform for feedback. And I'm guessing that in terms of if somebody wants to export the data, let's say, for example, I'm a a manufacturer and I need some of the data for some sort of survey or activity that I'm doing, how does one go about exporting the data that they need from this tool?
Okay, I suppose we're talking about exporting or migrating data. We can download data sets. So you can download, for example, a complete charts, trade reports for a product to a given country with all the indicators that you have seen into an Excel file that you can use to even do more analysis and even a more customized approach. So yeah, we can export this data into other formats like Word or Excel.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. We still have some time for questions. I saw Wusa Seaman, your hand was up briefly. I'm not sure if you want to come on or if your questions were answered. All right, do we have any other questions? Please don't rush to ask at once.
Excuse me, Nayus, in the meantime, I've also typed my email address in the chat box. I know some of you already have it because we have a long-standing work relationship, but please feel free to share my email address. I'm very happy to be contacted by anyone having any question about the use of the tools or other topics. If there is something I don't know, for sure I know someone who knows, and that could help us find our way.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lopez. So in the absence of any additional questions, I think we can move to wrap up. But before I do, I'd like to ask, because we've done Zoom for about 2 years now, and I know that anytime your camera is asked to be turned on, as soon as the last session is done, a lot of people try to escape. So I'm asking that everyone, as long as your camera ready, please turn on your camera so that we could take the photos while we look to wrap up before the last segment. I see some cameras. Very nice, thank you. So I'll ask for the assistance of my team in terms of taking some of these shots. All right, so definitely a lot to unpack so far, but to kind of bring it to a close, I would like to invite the project manager for the ACP TradeCom 2 program at the OECS Commission, Mr. Kyle Gans, to basically just wrap it up for us. Mr. Gans?
Hello,
and please keep your cameras on.
Yes, it's on? Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone in the Caribbean and to everyone in Europe. I wish to thank the speakers for their contributions and for their commitment in this initiative. I'd also like to echo the sentiments of our presenters who spoke about the benefits of these tools. The presentation of these tools is of great significance to us because it aligns with the OECS's vision to support and expand regional trade. It is my expectation that through this initiative, both the public sector and the private sector will be better placed to respond to the demands of the global marketplace. I wish to encourage each and every one of you to utilize these tools to your advantage. This event will be followed by or be supported by a robust public relations campaign aimed at promoting the utilization of these tools across the member states. Again, I wish to reiterate, I wish that each person here utilizes these tools effectively and really benefit from the robustness and the detailed information shared within these tools. Thank you everyone for attending this event. Please stay safe.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gans. And at this point, we've come to the end of the launch of the analytic trade tools, the trade map and the market access tools. I want to really thank everybody for joining us this morning. Definitely very eye-opening, a lot to unpack. I, for one, would go to the website and try to learn as much as I can and share as much as I can. And I encourage everybody, don't just learn it for yourself, but if you know somebody or you know an organization, a network that can benefit from the tools, please feel free to share with them to ensure that we create as wide a demand for these tools, because it is one thing to have it, but we cannot have it just to keep it. We need to share it as widely as possible. So please join us in terms of sharing as widely as possible. And remember that we are still in the age of COVID. So I encourage everyone to remain safe, to remain, you and your families to remain safe, keep social distancing. I know that the COVID numbers are coming down, but It is not an opportunity for us to remain complacent. And it would be remiss of me not to encourage all of you, if you've not been vaccinated, to please get vaccinated and join the fight to put an end to the COVID-19 pandemic. So from the OECS Commission and our partners, I would like to wish everyone a very happy rest of the day. Do enjoy and keep safe. Goodbye.
Thank you, Naius. Great Master of Ceremonies.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.